कुछ बताइए अपने काम के बारे में थोड़ा सा।
आप क्वेश्चन पूछो तो मैं बता सकती हूँ, बाकी ऐसा कुछ बताने जैसा स्पेशली।
अच्छा अच्छा। जैसे क्या आपका काम का क्या, जैसे क्या दिखाना चाहते हैं, क्या सोच है?
सोच तो ऐसा है कि कभी कभी लगता है कि हमारे मन में बहुत सारी चीज़ें और जो लाइफ के एक्सपीरियंसेस होते हैं ना, उसकी इम्प्रेशंस पड़ी हुई होती हैं, हमको भी पता नहीं होता। तो कभी कभी वो अनायास ही निकल के आती है। मेरे काम में मैं शुरू करती हूँ तो मुझे ऐसा कोई पहले से पता नहीं होता कि मैं ड्राइंग कहाँ से शुरू करूँगी या इसके बाद ये करूँगी। वो ग्रेजुअली डेवलप होता जाता है और धीरे धीरे जो अंदर की फीलिंग्स में जो भी आकार, यहाँ पे से ये बनाऊँगी तो ये निकल के आएगा, ये मुझे थोड़ा दिख रहा है तो ये बनाऊँगी। तो ऐसे करते करते प्रोसेस के थ्रू ही ये पूरी इमेज या पेंटिंग कंप्लीट होता है। और उस दौरान मेरे अंदर भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो चलती रहती हैं वो ही बाहर निकल के आती है और फिर लगता है कि
मास्टर्स के समय हम लोग जब साथ थे तो आपका काम एब्स्ट्रैक्ट था, आप रोलर से काम करते थे।
हाँ, रोलर से
मुझे
काम
याद है
करते
आपका काम, आपका काम फिगर्स आ गए हैं। और आपके काम में क्या है ना कि आ, थोड़ा एक्सपेरिमेंटेशन फॉर्म को लेके, मटेरियल को लेके बड़ा है। और जो मैं नोट कर पा रहा हूँ कि आप अभी क्या है ना कि सेंसिटिव फॉर दी
हाँ, वुड है,
कलर ऑफ मटेरियल।
कोलाज है
हाँ, कहीं की थी
और कहीं
डायमेंशनल
पे ड्राइंग है। ये
फॉर्म्स है।
वुड भी कार्व करती हूँ कभी कभी ज़रूरत पड़े तो
वाह
मैं
वाह।
एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करके ऐसा हर छोटी चीज़ में जो भी शेप्स निकल के आते हैं या हमको दिखते हैं उसका उपयोग करती हूँ।
हाँ, कॉलेज के बाद में पास आउट होने के बाद में कंटिन्यू कर पाना वो डिफ़िकल्ट होता है। ये बड़ा अचीवमेंट है कि पास आउट होने के बाद में यू आर स्टिल
हाँ, काम तो कभी
काम
बंद
कर
नहीं
रहे
किया,
हैं।
कभी बंद नहीं किया।
और आई थिंक मेरे ख्याल से 50-60% लोग तो काम बंद ही कर देते हैं।
हाँ, वो लेकिन अंदर की आग है उसको तो बाहर निकालना जरूरी है।
हाँ
वो
हाँ हाँ।
संजोग ऐसे होते हैं कि वो शायद कंटिन्यू ना भी कर पाए,
हम्म,
लेकिन हमारे अंदर वो चीज़ होगी तो अपने आप कहीं ना कहीं निकल के तो
सही
आती
बात
ही
है,
है।
सही बात है,
किसी और रूप में हो सकती है, किसी और आर्ट फॉर्म में हो सकती
सही बात है। नहीं, अच्छा लगा ये कनोरिया सेंटर, मतलब एक अच्छी जगह है।
है। हाँ, मैंने भी पास आउट होकर यहीं पे स्टूडियो ले लिया था। ये उसी आर्टिस्ट का
अरे
काम
वाह,
है।
बड़ा सुंदर, बड़ा
ये
सुंदर।
अमित का काम है।
अच्छा 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 अच्छा।
हाँ, ये जय श्रीमाली है, इसने 2016 में ही बड़ौदा से पास आउट किया
अच्छा
और
अच्छा
फिर तब से
अच्छा,
यहाँ पर
वाह वाह
स्टूडियो।
वाह। जंग रस्टिंग को लेके।
हाँ, वो अपनी लाइफ की स्ट्रगल को दिखा रहा है। वो
वाह
छोटा था
वाह।
तब से उसके
स्टोन कार्विंग बड़े अच्छे, सुंदर है, छोटे छोटे हैं लेकिन बड़े सुंदर है स्टोन कार्विंग। वाह वाह। तो मेरे टेस्ट का काम है स्कल्पचर, थ्री डायमेंशनलिटी। मुझे भी ना नेचुरल कलर्स हैं, जो चीज़ें वेस्ट मटेरियल लेके बड़ा मुझे मतलब वो।
स्क्रैप में से
हाँ, वेस्ट मटेरियल की चीज़ें। अभी मैंने एक छोटा सा एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था, पेंटिंग विदाउट पेंट। तो मैंने वहाँ पर फर्स्ट ईयर के बच्चों को अलाउ किया था कि आपको पेंटिंग बना, लेकिन पेंट का यूज़ नहीं करना है। पेंट की जगह आपको क्या है ना कि जो भी कुछ मिल जाए, कपड़ा मिल जाए, प्लास्टिक मिल जाए।
यहाँ पर पेंटिंग्स के शो होते हैं,
हाँ।
आर्ट गैलरी है। और यहाँ पर जो एम.एफ. हुसैन
हाँ।
और बीवी दोशी ने मिलके जो गुफा बनाई है वो यहाँ पर है। वो मैं दिखा देती हूँ, आप आराम से देखो।
हाँ, हाँ।
फिर यहाँ पे विजिट करो शो।
हाँ, हाँ।
और फिर वापस ये रहा रास्ता हमारा वापस।
अच्छा 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 बाप,
ठीक है?
ओके
तो
ओके।
यहाँ से मैं गुफा
हाँ हाँ हाँ, यस मैडम।
यहाँ से अंदर एंटर करते हैं। अंदर हुसैन ने खुद पेंट किए हुए हैं।
according to you, what role does the contemporary art play in shaping the India's cultural identity today?
Let me hello. Okay, start with a bang. Art has never been stagnant. It is an expression of a society and its cultural, political, and social environments that are expressed. So, if we look at art of ancient Rome and or ancient Greece, and you see the art today in Rome and in Greece, it's beautiful, but it has evolved and changed as society changes. Stagnant waters only breed mosquitoes, and therefore art should never be stagnant. It must always flow. As our minds flow, with gigantic waves and cascades, it must flow and is expressed. And every generation has their own thoughts and expressions. And our role is to encourage that, motivate that, refine that, and mentor that, not subjugate that. And as a role, I'm not an influencer. That's one thing I absolutely am not. I'm more a patron. I'm more a mentor, and in my own way, a creator. So I do fall in the same category of an artist, but I do my own forms of art. But we are at that stage, I think everybody here on this stage, where the biggest joy is to see the younger generation create and understand their stories and encourage them. Technique is a different thing. Technique, they have to learn. And that comes over time. But ideas, blossom in young minds. So I'm very happy to see a lot of young people here with their enthusiasm to create and the energy to express. And and there is nothing wrong. There is no wrong art. There is no wrong art. As long as it's not victimizing or subjugating, making it political, there is no wrong art. Art is an expression. So never be afraid to create. I want all of you to be fearless in your creations. And blaze your path. Do something fabulous. Dare to do the unknown. Don't follow people or don't follow trends. And God forbid, don't follow any influencer. So, and you will change society. You will change society, and we are going to be very proud of you. So, Godspeed.
No, thank you so much, Umang Bhai. I think it was quite an impactful thought that you have shared with all the young people, and something for them to, take back today when they are sort of thinking about it and reflecting back about this first take 2025. So, Nitish ji, they say that the journey of 1,000 miles begin with a single step, and you have witnessed each and every step of the Abir's evolution, right from the foundation to the growth today. So from the lens of a journalist and as a founder, what is your first take on Abir as it embarks on this 9th edition?
So first thing is that next will be 10th year of Abir, which is to my mind a big ticket thing, and we should really celebrate this journey that Ruby thought about it, and she made this happen. And we always joke amongst ourselves that we should talk about Abir art movement. That are we a movement? In a way we are, because there's so much of movement happening each year when so many young talents come in. They kind of and mind you, it's not easy, because people who come from the hinterland, the suburban, the kind of difficulties, challenges they face, the kind of schools we go to, the kind of conformity we demand from artists, and this, the Insta trending and all of this. So there's a global connection, but they want to conform to that. and in between all that, save that authentic, that strand of your own bit of civilization, culture, uh, creativity you carry. I think it's a huge thing. It's also these 9 years are also those many artists' act of courage of saying what has been saying them, rather than trying to say things and conform to the usual, the obvious, the predictable. So I think that's a very big deal, and uh, you should, if you have not so far, I mean, you should check out Ruby's TEDx speech on Abir's moment, because that also encompasses the journey we have had, and she did it pretty well, by the way. So yeah. So to my mind, I mean, for artists and for art and for Abir, I mean, it all converges into that actionable, and we are very proud of it, and we look forward to this as a, not just as her idea, but it's a collaborative forest now where so many little and big things are converging and supporting and forwarding it. Thank you.
Lovely. I think we all have also witnessed this year on year, the leaps and bounds with which it has moved forward. So, sort of my last question for the panel today. Hirenbhai, I would like to know your thoughts first on it. So, what trends or shifts do you foresee in the Indian art market, maybe in terms of the buyers, medium, platforms, or maybe these immersive technologies, AI, all of this? How do you see it in sort of the next, let's say, 5 or few years?
I think we are in the best time. I mean, look at the AI, it is just 2 years old baby, and the kind of wonders it creates. I'm really excited about working with AI, and the same I'm sure the artists must be using with their own platform working with AI. What I see in art scenario, I mean, it is moving much forward towards rather than just a plain canvas. Lots of mural kind of work, it's getting very much appreciated. And not necessarily in a bigger scale, even the smaller scale, people play with the 3-dimensional way of working and using technology. Nothing wrong in using technology as well, because it gives you a lot more ideas to make the things faster. And also the movement towards the 3-dimensional sculptures. I think we are still lagging behind. I mean, people don't really, because especially in Gujarat, everybody calculates for money, and my client says, अच्छा हिरेन पे एक sculpture ना आटला पैसा था तो हम 5 पेंटिंग ले लिया तो 5 पेंटिंग कर लिए. So it's another kind of world altogether. But I see the sculpture as absolutely different quality of an art. You can move around, walk around. So I look for the moment most towards that as well in a couple of years. Yeah.
Yes, as Hirenbhai rightly pointed out, AI has made rapid strides and will continue to do so. The jury is still out, not the panel, the jury is still out whether it can actually take that leap in the near future, in the next 5 to 10 years, of making a truly outstanding piece of art which people will admire even after 400, 500 years. So whether they can paint a Rubens or a Vinci or whatsoever, and even a modern art of the 20th and the 21st century, it's just like a poem or a piece of music. We still don't know. So till such time, my thing to artists would be just make hay while the sun shines before, and then use this as a tool, just like you use canvas and a stylo or a paintbrush or a chisel and hammer as your tool if you're a sculptor. Use this as a tool and don't feel threatened, but just master it, so that it becomes an extension of you, just like your paintbrush or your hammer and chisel. So I think that could be the way forward.
To hear that, any of you would?
You don't need AI, you have RI. God bless.
Nitishji, the hat of your digital Abir Poti, anything you would like to add on it?
Yes, I think one good way is to look at the reach, because we reach through Abir Poti, we reach out to many countries, and people otherwise they would not have known what is happening here, and so they kind of connect globally. But at the same time, there's a counter thing that how do you keep and create that whole local, authentic, and find expressions around it. So it's both ways. I think digital really helps, but I mean, talking about AI, the way we see AI, I think we were looking at pagers and mobile phones earlier, and then we, when typewriters and computers came, so we were talking in the same way that are they going to kill us? So I think they will kill us eventually, but then they will not like brutally enough. I think it will be gentle. It will happen, and they will become our typewriter as they have in so many ways. So that's, I think, helpful. But even so, there are two very good quotations for which I kind of keep reminding myself. One is ideas have consequences, which, as Umang Bhai was saying, and the other thing is never underestimate the power of human stupidity, because actually that really can take us to places. Thank you.
Lovely. I think that was a very well summarized part of this panel, where it looks like RI and AI both, of course, hand in hand is what we see the future, will be taking us to. So I think before I move forward, a very big round of applause for all our panelists and this lovely discussion. Taking further to all of this, that we have been following this trend from the past years. Abir has once again put together the work done by the artists and their journeys, stories of their creativities, color, space and imagination, which were selected by our jury panel as the top ones in the form of an amazing catalogue. It features their nominated artwork for First Take 2025. I invite our dignitaries here on the dais to please come forward to unveil. I would like to request Jagrut Bhai, Ruby, please come forward to the stage for the unveil of the catalogue and launch this remarkable creation.